Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all my people out there in internet land. My name is William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege and honor of serving as the host of the Black USA News morning show. Welcome to this Tuesday, March 8th. I'm sorry, I know it's Tuesday, but I try to keep up with March 8th. And it's Women's History Month, the 8th day, and National Organize Your Home Office Day. So I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people who are working from home, working remotely, as things haven't really fully opened back up. So take a little bit of time today, organize, just get some things together, pick it up. You may feel better. All right. As always, I got to say a big shout out and thank you to the super producer, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan, who ensures that we stay focused and that we keep bringing you all the quality of programming you deserve and keeping the topics relevant to what you want to talk about. So big ups to him. But we are going to talk about the people who make this possible. And we're going to start today talking about my sponsors with my company, The Grinding Gang. The Grinding Gang is a community of business professionals who come together to help other business professionals. We work with nonprofit and small startup businesses up to medium size. We have the expertise to go larger, but we want to make sure we bring those big business resources to small businesses. As a small business owner, you and Jeff Bezos have the same decisions to make. The magnitude may be different, but you all have the same type of decisions to make. Who are our target clients? How are we going to make money? How are we going to grow? The difference is you don't really have people who are there to help support you at the level that Jeff Bezos does. He has 30 people for each decision, just about. So we want to be part of your team. So if you are looking for an opportunity to grow your business, or just check out some of our free resources, do not hesitate to visit us at www.grindinggang.com. All right. When you want to talk about celebrating your business start, you might want to give Edible Arrangements a call or contact because they provide amazing fruit and it always comes delivered beautifully. And the candy coating that they have, they're amazing as well. Take a look. This comes directly to you. And this was DoorDashed to me. Hello. Like, that's wonderful. Like, what else do you want? So if you have something to celebrate or you just want some good fruit, make sure that you contact DoorDash. If you find yourself on the wrong side of some criminal charges, make sure you reach out to the warrior lawyer, J. Wendell Gordon. They call him the warrior lawyer, not just because it sounds good, but because he fights for his clients. And if you don't believe me, make sure you just go out there and Google. You could Google anybody in any of our sponsors, and you will see that they are the truth. Just like Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy. That organization, that law firm is reflective of Judge Murphy's emphasis on equality and justice. And he baked that into the law firm. So if you find you need help with a civil situation or trying to get leverage to get the government to change their policies toward communities that you serve, make sure you reach out to Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy. Worst case scenario is that they can refer you to somebody who can help you if they can't. Best case scenario, they may be able to take your case and transform your entire life. Talking about transformations, moving from the real world to the metaverse, we recognize that the metaverse is the next step in human communication. The metaverse will be to the internet what the internet was to letters. And so it's going to be a really letters and books. It's going to be a really groundbreaking place where division will happen. And people like Dr. Tyrone Taborn and all of his staff over at STEM City USA, they do an amazing job of making sure that the Black community isn't getting left behind, that we have access and resources and mentorship and things like that. And so we are exceptionally grateful to have a partnership with STEM City USA, and really proud of the work that they've been doing, for example, with the Black Engineer of the Year Awards, damn near 40 years. And they are incredibly active and supportive. So big up to the doc and his people out there. One of our newer sponsors, I Am Black Wall Street, a book by Donnie Glover. It doesn't just look at Black Wall Street as to the horrors that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but it expands the concept and recognizes that there were two other places that were designated Black Wall Streets. And he looks and explores how those places were created. What were the driving forces that brought people from all over the country to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and these other locations to start? And what I think happens is that it provides a really good framework and maybe a blueprint for what we can do right now to create our own types of Black Wall Streets and all that type of fighting for the black economy and the black dollar will make you hungry. And if you do get hungry, make sure you spend your money at Darker Than Blue Grill. Darker Than Blue is an amazing partner for Black USA News, but not just Black USA News, but the Black community in general. They have been adamant and involved with the community since they were on Greenmount Avenue. So, but we are really grateful for all the folks over there at Darker Than Blue. So, thank you, and I can't wait to eat some more of the food from there. Letting you all know that the perfect pitch planning competition or spotlight, it's not really a competition, it's a spotlight, is coming up on the 12th of March and the 19th of March. It's going to be hosted by Tasmira Gathers and the Blackout Show. It's going to be amazing. And we're bringing back the Perfect Pitch Planning Program to help those who want to step up their pitch game and to really be in a better position to sell themselves and let people know what they're about. I want to give them some of the skills that they can use to take their communication to the next level. Like yesterday, you met Miss Lindsay Peel in our month of Black women. And she talked about the ability to sell herself and how big that has been in her growth and development as an entrepreneur and everything like that. So yeah, keep your eyes out for the Perfect Pitch Planning Program and to register for the Pitch Spotlight. So it's going to be awesome. Oh, and a big shout out to Michael Haney. Michael has been doing so many things, and it's not new. I'm sorry, I don't want to act like he's new to the game. He's true to the game. He has been working with the Black community to increase workforce and expand opportunities for economic development. And he's been a huge supporter of Black USA News. And I just want to say thank you from hosting his own show to all the other things. So I think it's really important, what do they say, to give each other our flowers while we're around. So Brother Haney, here is a bouquet for you. All right, so I talked to you about Lindsay Peel. We talked to her yesterday about being a Black woman and what that looked like. Today, we have another dope woman, a really good friend of mine who's going to come and share her perspective and her experiences as a Black woman. But first, let me remind those who may not be familiar about a month of Black women. Let me let you know what that's about.
Dear Shanae and Simone, as you move through life as Black women, you will have a very unique experience. In many cases, you will be asked or expected to serve in roles that weren't clearly explained, nor did you really agree to. Over the course of my life, I have met some amazing women who have navigated some of the spaces that you will encounter. I want my village to share with you their stories of trials and successes to help provide a foundation to understand your power to choose the woman that you will become and the strength that you can find in your sisters. This series of shows is my gift to you. The women you will hear from are phenomenal. They come from different backgrounds and have chosen different paths for their lives. Each represents a facet of the Black woman experience. Some of the stories may not align with your journey directly, but those stories are even more important. By listening closely, you can learn about uncommon experiences and find ways to support your sisters along your shared journey. I love you all so much, and I hope to see you soon.
So that is what our month of Black women is about. That is what it is for me. And I am so grateful to be able to bring to you all and bring to my goddaughters some dope women. Like I told you all before, I know dope women. And today is, again, not going to be any differently. I get an opportunity today to introduce you all, some of you, introduction. Some of you all know her well, Miss Jennifer Hubbard. Jennifer is a serial entrepreneur. She has provided work. You know what? Again, I got to remember my program notes. I got to let her introduce herself. That's right. I got to do it. I'm a professional journalist, something. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I am well. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well indeed. So before again, I pay attention to what Crazy Horse tells me about making the show better, and part of the feedback and very constructive feedback from my audience. Thank you all very much. Is that I should give guests more time to really introduce themselves. So I'm gonna do that now. Okay, you ready? Are you ready to tell them who you are?
Yes.
Go for it.
Briefly, I am a nurse educator and an owner of a independent lab. I am a mother of four, three girls and one boy, and I'm excited to be here today.
Yay! I'm excited to have you here. So, we've known each other for a long time. I've seen your business journey, how you've developed, how you've been able to pivot no matter what the market conditions change to. You've been able to be like, ah, boom, I got this, and boom, I got this certification, and really try to stay on top of things like that. But before we get too deep into those details, I'm going to start you off the way I start everybody off. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's say an alien comes to Earth, all right? It'll come together. It'll come together. It'll come together. It'll come together. An alien comes to Earth, and he says, all of you all seem different, but there's certain categories you all fit in. And you, Miss Jennifer Hubbard, come talk to us and describe to us what it's like to be a Black woman. What would you tell the alien?
That being a Black woman can be very challenging. You have to be strong. Just from the beginning, if you're fortunate enough to have at least one of your parents, sometimes that's not the best, but you have to make the best out of every situation that you find yourself in. And that will continue throughout life. It doesn't just begin there, but from the moment that you're born, you're almost attacked, and you're attacked against the world because you were born Black.
And one of the things that I have, I pressed the wrong button. When you start pressing the wrong button, stuff goes all over the place. But so one of the things that I want to break it up into two separate pieces, because there is this piece of being attacked, and that has a lot to do with how Black women are perceived, and I want to talk about that in some more detail. But I want to start off with like the obligations that you feel as a Black woman. One of the things that a lot of the guests have said is that there are times where who else is going to do it? Like, I gotta make a way. I don't have anybody to rely on, and those types of things. Is that part of your experience as well, or?
I would concur, because from the beginning, like I said, you're attacked, and even as a small child, because your mother is mostly either a Black woman or you are of African American descent, then you have responsibilities. And if you're the oldest, like I'm the oldest, so I had to do so many things. I had to wear so many hats. So even today, my two brothers on my mother's side that are under me, because I'm the oldest, they still look at me as a mother figure. Like, I can still get them to do things that my mother could not get them to do. They're still
because the way you were involved in their raising.
I pretty much raised them. I mean, because my mother had to go out and take care of the family the best way that she could. I had to correct them. I had to cook. So I had to learn to become the best chef with nothing. Because growing up in the hood, you don't always get the good. Now, back in my day, we had the cheese off the government.
It takes you 20 minutes to melt it, but once it did melt, boy, you eat it while it's hot.
And then there were the times where the government truck didn't come, and you had beans, and you were left with different things. So you had to become a chef. I mean, you had to be creative, which is partially why I enjoy cooking today. It's therapeutic, but I love to feed people. So I had to find, different ingredients, whatever was in the house, and make them taste good. Because you have, boys, my brothers, I had to feed them. So in order for them to eat it, it had to taste good. So I had to be innovative.
So what age range are we talking about now? Are we talking about like 20s, late
No,
teens?
no.
What are we talking about?
No, I would say at 3, I started helping my mother to change diapers because she would say, "Bring me the diaper." I can remember, or she would tell me. And then because my brother was born around that time, so it starts as soon as the other child comes in. Go get me that
So
diaper.
you,
Don't put this
I'm
in the
sorry.
trash.
So you move from being a child to being a helpmate.
Pretty much, pretty much. And I felt like I can't say so many things, but the person
Yeah.
that she had the baby with, which was her husband at the time, he should have been helping her. That wasn't my responsibility. And as I got older, I never complained about the things I had to do, but as I got older, I had my own personal experiences. I felt like, can I talk about it a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I felt
Whatever.
like
So let me be clear. Whatever you are comfortable talking about here is fine to talk about,
I don't
and
want to hear.
anything you don't feel comfortable talking about is stuff we ain't gonna talk about.
Okay. So, it started there and it helped me. It helped me to become the woman that I am because that is my foundation of not having anything, having to make provisions when there were none. My religion and my faith, we were started up young. So all of that helped me when I became a woman, a grown woman, as these young people say. 18 is not grown, but I was out of my mother's house by the time I was 16 because my mother had some issues and
Mhm.
I had to go. So I was on my own. I was homeless my last 2 years of high school. I went to Mervo, went to Carver for 1 year. I went to
Well,
Mervo for
big
3
up to
years.
Mervo. Big up to
Big
Mervo.
up. And I really struggled. It was hard. They didn't have all the programs and things that they have now in the school systems, which are amazing. They didn't have those. So I was the person that everybody, teased about the way that I dressed, because I worked 3 jobs when I was 14. As soon as they gave us opportunities, I raised my age. I worked 2 jobs, not 3, I'm sorry. And I raised my age, and I had the job with Clarence D. Burns. And that's when the summer programs first came out. Now I'm dating myself.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And then I had a job at McDonald's, and that money I didn't get. I had to give that money to my mother, and my mother would give me money to get back on the bus to go back to work. So I wasn't taught that, hey, you need to save your money. You don't need to spend your money. This is what you should do. This is how you budget. None of that was brought up, but all I know is every month at the end of the month, which I still don't understand, people get these food stamps, which I wish I could get, and they buy everything at one time instead of teaching themselves or even their children that we only need this right now. This is all that our refrigerator can hold, and we can go back to the store another time. So that was my foundation, and going to church. We were in church all the time, and that helped me. That helped me so much. It even helps me to this day. My prayer life is amazing. But as I got older, I got married. I was married twice. I got divorced twice. But I had some things to happen. You don't expect to marry, the wrong person. Listening
Mhm.
to influences of people who don't know what's going on, listening to the church. And I'm not dissing the church because
Yeah.
I'm all about church, but I'm just being honest and real because I'm not going to tell somebody to go marry somebody because that's something they want to do. I'm going to really have a conversation about, let's see if you're compatible. Is this really going to work out? Is this person going to be abusive? Are they going to hit you? Because I have a no nonsense policy. So because I had that policy and because I had been abused as a child, really like physically, mentally, and everything, I was already in a broken situation. My father wasn't there for me like some people have a godfather, father. I
Mhm.
never had that. I didn't have a good example of the father. I know who my father is, but we never had a real good relationship. Even to this
Yeah.
day, we just don't.
Mhm.
So, long story short, I went through these divorces, and my first ex-husband I had 2 children with, and my second one I had 2 children with, and I found myself in a situation after the second divorce. The
Mhm.
second divorce, I had 4 children. Here I was,
Mhm.
a well-educated individual who was not a promiscuous girl.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
I was known as a church girl. I mean, the good church girls, not and I was known in the community as being a decent person. And
Right.
it bothered me that I had to have 2 divorces because no one sets themselves up for divorces.
Right.
But it also bothered me that I had to now have the responsibility of 4 small children, and I had to figure it all out by myself.
Now, talk about the relationship, and again, whatever you're comfortable with. Was there no support from the ex-husbands, or was it just not enough support? What was Why were you by yourself doing this?
Initially, I think a lot of, now we're getting on some other stuff, but I think a lot
This
of
is about what it is to
men,
be a Black woman.
a lot of men need to just to understand that just because you're not with the woman or you can't deal with the woman or whatever, ignore her. It's about the child. So you need to find your way to your child, establish that relationship. If you can't speak with the mother, that's fine. Once they get a certain age, then deal with the child directly. But of course, respect the mother. Ask your mother, can I come get you? Stuff like that. Ask your mother, can you have this? I didn't have that. My first ex-husband, he paid minimal child support. But everything was on me. When it came down to paying $10,000 for 2 sets of braces at the same time, that was me. When it came down to prom dresses, that was me. When it came down to any extracurricular activities, that was me. So I think that a lot of fathers need to forget about, well, parents need to understand that when they get into these agreements, because that's what it is, if the agreement does not work out, that this child has absolutely nothing to do with it. Now, I've made my wrongs because initially I wanted to just be by myself and I'm done. I don't want you calling. I don't want, but now that I'm older, I can preach this part that you really need to try to find a way, even if it's not through you, your sister, your cousin, your friend, your sister friend, get somebody to let this person, be involved in the child's life. But it also takes a real man to want to do that. My second husband was just a joke. Like, he's more educated than my first husband, and he does nothing even to this day. I have a 14-year-old son. He does absolutely nothing. He pays minimal child support when he feels like paying, child support. And I had to do everything. My son was sick. He had asthma. It was just a lot. I was working so many jobs because I was never on welfare, and that was God. We always owned our own house, and that was God again. It was just a lot of things. And so my oldest daughter had a lot of pressure on her. Not that I wanted her to have that pressure. There were things I wanted her to be able to do, but I couldn't. I couldn't let them be in extracurricular activities. Why? Because I had to go to work. I went to work, came in, went to sleep, changed my clothes. Everybody knew what it was. Every Sunday, I cooked all the meals for the entire week because I'm a person that I want my kids to be fed. I love feeding people. And I still do that to this day. It was always meal prep for me. It was always iron up all the uniforms, for everybody so that my kids didn't have that to worry about. So I slept all day. It was just hard.
Right. And it sounds like, okay, I love this. We're going to break it all the way out. You talk about there's a difference on how you see the relationships with your children's father and how you wish you would have engaged. Can you, and versus how you actually engaged during that time? If you could take us back to kind of what was going in your head, because one of the things I'm hoping is that if there's somebody who's listening to this and hears you say like, hey, I was saying this, and now I realize this is why that was wrong, it may help them to kind of, it's like, oh, maybe I need to rethink. So could you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
I have absolutely no regrets for why I left both of my ex-husbands. I left them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the end of the marriage. I'm talking about what you're talking about, the engagement with them about the kids.
Right. So I wish that I was mature enough to say the things that I'm about to say. It's not about me. Even though my personal feelings was like, okay, well, my first husband was my first, and here you left me. I have 2 kids, and you acting up. And then the second one was a situation I really couldn't control because he was then told he couldn't be around us. So because he kidnapped my kids, so he wasn't able to initially be around. But once the time came, he would tell everybody, I'm trying to see my kids. And it was not true. What I wish I had done.
He was still living back in that story where he couldn't.
Right. But he still lives there to this day.
So even though the boundaries that prevented him from seeing his kids are gone, he's still living like they still up there.
14 years later.
Wow.
And he does more for the child that he had during our marriage, which he claims is a mistake and he forgot or, whatever. And he does nothing for my son now. Nothing. He doesn't know my son's allergies. He doesn't know what medications he takes. He can't tell you about my son's grades. He doesn't know what school my son goes to. Nothing. And I think that we fail our children on so many, from so many angles because, girls need their fathers. Even though my father was a substance abuser and still is to this day, it was something that my father told me that kept me a decent woman. I didn't go out there and sleep with everybody because my father told me some things. Girls will listen to their dads. It's a reason that there's a male component. It's a reason why a father is supposed to be a father. There's a reason why your voice is so deep because children will listen to a father on one command. The women, we gotta
it
go
is different.
off.
Yeah.
We gotta scream. We gotta cuss you out. Almost have a nervous breakdown in the middle of the floor. Rough you up a little bit. Cave you in your chest. Call your girlfriend and talk about you right in your face. Tell you getting out. We gotta do all of that. This is the life of a Black woman. And it's
Mm,
difficult. It's challenging. So I wish that one, I did that I had planned who I was going to be with, that I had
mhm,
really knew how to scream. I wish if I could go in my
mhm.
life that I had a better father who could have taught me and demonstrated what a real man was supposed to be and how a real man was supposed to treat me. Because then
So
I would have knew what to look for.
so let's continue from that vein. So you recognize that the lack of the male role model was a deficiency in your life, right?
Absolutely. It still
So
is.
and so because your children's fathers are deficient in that role, have you been able to find some programs or some people to come and try to fill in that role for your kids, or
It's
are you
very
still
difficult.
left to try to fill in that role by
I'm
yourself?
still wearing all the hats and all the
Mm,
shoes and all the pants. And then, Black women that say, oh, you too aggressive. You too strong. You don't want. It's not that. We don't all want to be like this. I don't. So for the people that was in church, some of this, me and Jesus alone, honey, it was never me. The ones that say, I can make it without a man. It wasn't me.
that wasn't
Okay.
just that's not your ministry.
That is not my ministry. I am not singing that song. But what I will tell you is the mother that I am, I'm very protective,
Mm,
and I'm very particular about who my children are around. I could have been married a third time, but I chose not to bring people around my kids. I isolated myself. I neglected myself to make
right,
sure that my 4 children were good. So I
right,
didn't
right,
have
right, right.
time for no play. Let's go this do. I didn't have time for that because my goal was my kids need to eat. That means I
Hmm.
have to work because I'm not
Hmm.
getting
Hmm.
child support or I'm getting minimal or none. Because at times when they lose their jobs, you don't keep getting child support. When my
Right,
first
right, right.
husband decided he was quitting his job because he was called something on the job and he didn't like it, we didn't get child support, you know,
Mm.
or if when they got mad at me, because back then I couldn't control my mouth. I wanted to say what I
You
wanted
was
to
slick
say.
with the lip. You was
I was
slick with the
quick
lip.
with it. I could murder you with this tongue. You understand? I
Right.
still can, but at this point, God's grace is sufficient, and I'm a little more mature now, and I realize I know other ways to deal with things without saying a word. Silence is golden for Black women. If we get quiet, that's when men listen. And so it's things that I wish I knew then. But again, yes, the absence of my father, I can't blame my father for my life, but I can blame him for not being there to do what he needed to do
Right.
to help me. Because I would have known that these were not the guys I should have gotten involved with. I know now, but this is after life's lessons, after I've had to struggle.
Right. So somebody he could have been there to put you on game to be like, these are some of the red flags you should look for,
Absolutely.
and also let them know, like, I know some fathers do the whole thing is like, make sure you understand that this is my girl, and if you have to be respectful and responsible for it,
My
and
grandfather.
even getting that type of commitment from somebody, and it kind of goes back to one of the things I know we've talked about before, like when we were doing the female entrepreneurship series and stuff like that, is that the resources that are presented for men are all the resources are designed around the male life and male decision making. And
Mhm.
so, oh, you should be able to spend this much time or dedicate this much time to your business, or oh, you should be able to. But when you are the one that's carrying the load, even those expectations smack of misogynoir.
Yeah.
So have you found that people hold you account like differently because you are a Black woman, or that comparator is not is they treat you or compare you differently? Is that a thing?
Oh, absolutely. Especially, unfortunately, especially from your own Black community.
Hmm.
The thing that gets me is that Black people, let's just say women, and
Hmm.
no offense, I'm just going to keep it real because that's how I am. A
Absolutely.
Black woman will go and spend. Now, I don't buy weaves, but my daughter makes weaves. So I know that they could be wigs. They could be $300 on up. So a Black woman will spend $400 on hair to make the weave and pay for the weave to be made. $600, $800 easy. No thought, no think about it. Don't need a payment plan. Found the money. Comes down to purchasing from a business or supporting another Black owned business. Oh, I know you. Could I get a discount? Oh, can I? It's always something. It's always something. And that's just
Hey,
how it is. I've even
So
had a recent experience where, and I won't name the business because I don't want to be sued, but I had a black man to patronize my establishment. We did 3 of his assisted livings, 3 with at least 30 people in each facility. So that's 90 people.
right.
And he did a chargeback. Now he won the chargeback. Oh, wait, it gets better. I served him.
Explain to, I'm sorry, explain to people what the chargeback is. I'm sorry. I know I like, whoa.
A chargeback means you use your credit card, and then after you get whatever, you tell the credit card company, I didn't get the service, or this wasn't good, or whatever. Mind you, we're talking about COVID testing here. So he got the results for all of them, and we did his staff for free. So hold on. That was another black business that did that to me. Now, I wasn't too happy about it, but I swallowed it. But then I thought about it. Hold on. I went to school to be a nurse. I'm a mother. I took time out of my schedule. And I'm a real business. This is a real lab. My documents are registered with the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I didn't call a lawyer. Didn't call you, Hannah Blue. I filed papers at the district court. And once I did that, guess what he did? The same day he was served, he reversed the charge. But then guess what? I told him we're still going to court. He said, why? We have fees, sir. I need a late fee. I paid somebody to go to the court. I paid somebody to serve you. I need my money. And here's the interest, and here's what it is. Now, he's paid the original fee, and I'm still waiting. I even gave him time. This was in January. I gave him to March the 15th to pay. He still hasn't paid.
Yeah. Somebody like that, it sounds like he'll be waiting till the last minute.
We paid the original. That's fine. If not, I'm ready. I got all my papers.
But I think that's kind of the thing. Like, even how he thought to correct it devalued you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
like I'm literally going to steal from you.
Major companies do the same thing. Major companies. Major
companies. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, because we get to talk about things here. Government agencies do the same thing. If we're gonna talk about something for real.
Well, let me tell you, I had a major agency to I ordered $3,500 worth of things, which I mean that may not be a lot to those of us who just pay things, but for a business expense, a small business, that's like okay, that's big. You know,
that's a big deal. Yeah.
So I made the purchase, and so I'm waiting for the items, and then I get an email that okay, well, one is on the way and one is on hold because we don't have your documentation that you're a lab. We can't find you on a map. I had this in an email. I lost it. I wasn't professional that day. And that order was canceled, and I wanted all my money back. And I will no longer patronize that establishment. Because I told, and there was a whole miscommunication between the person who said he worked there for 30 years. And just because you work somewhere 30 years doesn't make you right. It doesn't make you the manager either, you know, nor the owner of the company. But I was insulted, and I let them know as a Black woman, I am insulted that you would tell me that, you know, I don't have the right credentials and you couldn't find my business address on the map. But you used my business address when I made that purchase with my credit card. It was the same address. It was the same address the first machine arrived at, and I had already had the machine. So that tells you it's a bona fide
address.
Now,
why do we, you know, I know it's busted that it happened, but do we know why? Do we believe that this was specific because you're a small business, because you're a Black woman, or was it just no matter what it was no good?
I think it was because I was a small business and they hadn't heard about me before. I've even had people to call me and say, I haven't heard about you before. Oh, I didn't know this was here. When we did the COVID testing and we had so many people coming, I didn't know this was here. So I think a lot of Black businesses are at a disadvantage, which I told you, I'm going to start this women's group.
Yes.
And I want to add men because I'm not biased, you know. I think we need the male component, you know, because we're not recognized. People don't know what we have. You're sitting in a room with a powerhouse person that can help move your business and you don't even realize it. Yes, it's all about networking. But at what point are we going to come together? At what point are we going to stop being crabs? When are we going to come together and look out for each other? Because if we as a Black community don't look out for each other and we don't support each other, meaning you can spend $800 in Sally's shop or Karen's shop. Why can't you spend $800 in Jennifer's shop? Well, maybe not Jennifer, but in Keisha's shop.
Well, watch this though, because one of the things you talked about, and you made reference to the whole crabs in the barrel mentality and the lack of support. One of the things that really blew my mind, and I think it's also relevant here when I heard somebody talk about that, was it ignored the fact that you you criticize crabs for pulling each other out of the barrel, ignores the fact that they shouldn't be in the barrel in the first place.
That is
and
true.
so that's one of the things we talk about a lot here on the show, is that the capitalist type community we have, where everything is about money, money, money. That's not the neighborhoods or even the way that we have been raised. We've been raised in love. Like, it's like, in the example I use, and I'm sure like this has come up like damn near every show, but like the cookout, where nobody, everybody only got a little bit of money, but the cookout is great. There's a DJ. There's, everybody eats no matter what it is, and it's not like, well, and if you say something like, well, Jennifer only brought 5 pounds of potato salad and I bought 10 pounds, and everybody looks at you like you stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But now when we move everything into the money, it's not about like, I want to support Jennifer as a business owner. It's like money, money, money. How much discount can I get?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea, and I think what happens is that in our community, we try to trade our relationship as money. So it's like, because we have a relationship, you should give me less money. And it's like, that's actually not how relationships work. That's how exploitation works.
Your real friends, and I have real friends, will pay you the top dollar and tip you. Now, I have some good friends like that. But then, there's Cousin Pookie and the rest of them.
Now, because you've done this a couple of times, and let's talk about this. You've made several references to class differences.
Yeah.
How big a difference is education, social status, and credentials and stuff like that in your experience as a Black woman?
Honestly, I've sat in the room with people with PhDs and MDs that don't have any sense or common sense, or don't know how to treat people. They no integrity. They don't even speak to people. They think they are the all be all. But if they have a heart attack or a stroke, guess what? Or they need blood, they get the same paint that everybody else gets from the same person. And being an educated woman, I've never looked down on people. I always speak to everybody. That's just me. I do stay to myself when I need to, but I'm a lioness when I need to be as well.
I'm sorry. So, because the area I'm talking about is that a couple of times you've made references to like public assistance and stuff like that, and how there would have been something wrong had you been there. Like, it was literally a blessing that your life wasn't so bad that you had to be on public assistance. And so I just want to try to get to understand how you view those things from the paradigm of a Black woman, single, managing all of this stuff. How do you see the need for public assistance or things like that?
I think that some people need public assistance. I'm not going to say, but when you become dependent upon it, where someone has to tell you this is how much you're going to get every month, and this is how much you can spend, and this is how much you can spend to live, and this is what you get to eat, that it's a problem. For me, what I've also found is that this is just my opinion. I'm not shooting, darts at anybody, but I've gone to the child support office to ask for increases, to find out what else I could do to help my children, because I am working 3 jobs, and, people have time to do other things, but they don't have time to help me, finance these children. And I didn't make them by myself. And I have left each time crying. I was treated as if I was a welfare recipient, lying on my back all day, although I was in nursing scrubs and I had worked 2 jobs. I had just worked 20 hours, and I still was not given the respect. I was told my application was lost. I was told that I needed to leave, and this was by a person that wasn't even from the United States. She could barely speak English. And she's telling me, a taxpayer, that I need to leave and I'm gonna have to come back because I came at the last minute. Well, ma'am, I left work as soon as I could. You guys close at 4. I get off work at 3. Nurses don't have real times to get off. I rushed out of the door. I gave report, but I was out. My colleagues understood, that I don't usually do that, but I rushed to get to your office before you close, and I was treated so bad that day. And so now it's like I don't go there. I have to pay. This is money I could use for to help my son. I am currently paying an attorney to deal with what I should have been able to walk into the office to deal with. But there again, if you are a real man, no system should have to tell you to take care of your child. No system should tell you that you have a 14-year-old that eats like 4 grown men. So no system would be able to tell me as a mother, if I didn't raise my children and I was the parent on the opposite end, it would never have to be communicated. It's prom time, it's school time, it's winter time, it's fall time. Yeah, but every time I wouldn't have to do that. I would know.
But one of the things that you have shared throughout your journey is that you literally have never had a portion of your life where you haven't been responsible, right? So you it sounds like you wouldn't even understand what that world looks like.
I would not.
Because the other part of it too is that you talk about you don't want to be in a situation where people tell you what you can do, where you can go, and stuff like that. But that ain't no different than working at welfare. Ain't no different than working at Amazon. But you see what I'm saying? So again, I'm just trying to make sure that we don't get so caught into whenever you are on the other side of an exploitive system, whether that is a job that treats you like trash, a relationship that treats you like trash, or a public system that treats you like trash.
Just use it to move up. That's all I'm saying.
But those are equally bad. So it doesn't matter if you're getting public assistance and you're not getting help. Doesn't matter if you're at work and you're not getting help. It doesn't matter. All of these things suck, and it's not one is better than the other. One of my when I used to work for the state, one of my bosses used to run a group for HIV positive patients in Washington, D.C. And she was telling me how one of her groups erupted into a fight because it was a group full of HIV positive males. And the argument was that some of them got HIV through intravenous drug use, and some of them got HIV through men having sex with men. Mm-hmm. They were fighting over which was worse to get HIV. And
but
sometimes I think
HIV.
Right. But sometimes I think we fall into that we don't recognize we're all in this together. But now we're fighting over how we got it. Oh, you get demeaned at the welfare office and I get demeaned at work. So I'm better than you.
No, you get demeaned at work. No one is better than the other. I think that's not what I'm trying to convey.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not saying you said that. I am saying there are some people who are better than others and for different reasons. I own that statement.
It's harder. With the system, it's easier to, for instance, there was a time that I did need help. I was trying to get through school, but I had degrees, but I was trying to reactivate my nursing license, and I needed some help with the daycare because I had my son, and I didn't, my daughter was underage. And when I was there, when you apply, they encourage you to apply for everything. But I kept telling the lady, I don't need cash. I'm getting, some child support from my first ex-husband and none from my second ex-husband. And the lady was like, well, if you take the cash, at least you have an extra $40. I said to the lady, I said, ma'am, this just doesn't make sense. While the $40 would be beneficial to me, I want you to know I'd be putting myself in a deeper hole because at the end of the day, I have to pay you back this money. So
it was a loan.
It's like a loan. The TCA thing, it's like a loan. So I told
I did not realize that.
Yeah, if you back then, my son is 14. I was told if I had accepted that TCA, which at the time I qualified because I was a full-time student. But I was working, but I still qualified. I had 4 children. The lady was like, if you take TCA, then you would get $40 more. And I'm telling her, well, I am getting this child support from my first husband, and this is what I have, with what I'm doing, my job too. She was like, not understanding, but to me it didn't make sense for me to take TCA because I would have had to pay that extra money back. When people use TCA or vouchers, that you have to take the other parent to child support, and any money you have to pay back. You owe the state. I didn't want to owe the state.
Oh, but it wouldn't technically be you owing the state.
No,
I see what you're talking about. I'm saying the way it is, technically the state isn't paying for it. They are supplementing the father. So when the father pays for it, then that father's money. It's basically to keep you even, not as a bonus.
Right. And then so the thing would have been, for instance, if I'm getting $600 for 2 children from my first husband and they're willing to give me $700, then I would take the $700, but they would take that $600. I'm not going to see that. And then that $100 is a deficit to him.
Yeah, but my thing is that that's the thing. The system is designed just to get you even. It's not to help. It's designed to make up the difference from what he's not helping with.
Now, I know some phenomenal women that do what they have to do, to make things work. They get food stamps and they have to sell dinners. They have to, because they have children and they have to do what they have to do. And that's so one of the things. I respect these women. I have nothing negative to say about it.
And that's why I wanted to stop it, because I know you and we've had these conversations before, but I wanted to make sure, and because you know how people are, they're like, well, I heard Jennifer said this and she all, and it's like, I would have, because I got to type back. It's a whole thing. So this way we got it clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. So let's talk about the external attack piece, because I realize that again, your entire life has been spent in the service of someone else. At some point, this whole idea that these are all your responsibilities, and in many cases, your responsibility alone, or shouldering a disproportionate amount of responsibility. And then so that's heavy enough walking around with it. But then you talk about these types of attacks. Tell us about what some of these attacks look like from your perspective, because I've heard that like sometimes there are things that happen with some of my friends that I'm like, wait, that's not the way that works. And I was like, oh, I didn't know what that meant. So an example with my ex-wife, kind of the opposite way. We were watching the movie Mulan, one of my favorite movies. And when Mulan fell down and the dude came and Shin came and put her bucket on his shoulder and kept walking, my wife was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry, you got me all excited. I was like, that's like a cuss word. He just called you a punk. You can't even carry yours, and I can carry both. But because of our different perspectives, she thought it was a loving, supportive gesture. Where I was like, oh no, that is the height of insult. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. What does it look like from your perspective? Because there might be something I'm like, oh, that's nice that he did that to you. Like, no, it's not. Let me tell you what it means. So that's what I'm trying to find out.
Being a Black woman, it's difficult. You have so-called friends or other females that you know that you may not categorize as a friend. They'll tear you down verbally. Some of them are bold enough to try to say it to you. Sometimes when you're in relationships or friendships or dating, you know, the guys may take you as the aggressor or the person that's trying to be an alpha female, which I am an alpha female, but I will back down to a king. That's how I'll say that. And it's not by choice, it's by force, because I've had to do everything. So a lot of times we have a lot of things outside that does affect us inside. Like I said, you have people who don't understand. Oh, you're doing too much. Oh, you was doing that. Why aren't you doing that? You know, or I think your price. I've had a person to inbox me about a class and then tell me that my class costs too much. And there's Walmart. There's Nordstrom's. Honey, I'm Nordstrom's, because your class may be taught by someone that, and I'm not knocking anybody, that's a phlebotomist that has worked as a phlebotomist for 2 years and now she's a phlebotomist. I'm proud of her. I'm happy for her. I encourage her, right? But I'm a whole nurse, as they would say, you know, with some other degrees and some teaching experience, and I'm a certified teacher. So I deserve to be paid for what I do. And you don't know what the design of my class is, the hours I put into my class. I have people who try to be close to me to get information from me so that they can go. So I've had 2 people to do that. They'll ask me, oh, who are you certified by? Oh, could you help? And before I know it, I turn around. And I'm not saying it's not enough money for all of us, but be honest with your intention. Tell me you want to open, and I may be able to help you. I'm not saying I can always, but I may be able to direct you. But don't come and just try to take food out of my mouth. And I didn't even know you took my fork and I'm looking for it. Or you tried to take my fork, because I know how to eat with my hands.
I got an observation, yo. Like, you know a lot of crappy people. Like, you know shitty individuals. Like,
you start to weed your real friends out as you get older and as you mature. And when you get in business, you get to see who your real supporters are.
So let's talk about some of them, because we talked a lot about like just shitty people for like the last half hour, 40 minutes. Just I don't want to end on shitty people. I don't want to end it. Let's talk about the good people in your life.
So I have some really good people in my life. I do. Of course.
Honestly, let's shout them all the way out, because
mother loves her son. And you and I are very good friends. I would definitely add you to that. I have quite a few individuals that have been more than friends to me. I have a very good girlfriend, Charmel, Dr. Lee, you know, quite a few other people who I'm very close to.
No. Babe, I want you to shout them out. These are part of your support. No, seriously, because we talked in depth about the shitty people, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, they've been there for me. Let me tell you, they're my
shoulders. Talk about them.
They give me, you know, advice. I can't tell you how in depth I am to you. For sometimes when I'm like, this is what's going on, you're like, well, legally, I'm like, yes, this is the part I need to hear. Well, if you get this, go get your money, and when I come up with some crazy ideas, you've never said, that sound crazy. And I probably did sound crazy. You supported me in my craziness, right? But at the end of the day, when I came back to retract that crazy statement and say, you know what? That wasn't the best idea. They're like, well, you know what? You learned from that experience. Now what are you going to do?
Right.
And I did, and it helped me because the restaurant idea. I'm telling you, I know I can cook. I enjoy cooking, and people know I can cook. But where I went wasn't the best location. So
and that's a lesson.
Yeah, I'd have probably still been doing it. So but I had to also hone into me, find myself. And so you helped me walk me through that. Gave me opportunities. Encouraged my growth. Even with school, furthering my education. And so like my son, he stops me from hurting my daughters. He's like the peacemaker, like, Mom, it's not worth it, but he's the reason I push so hard. He's the reason I'm still trying to get, because, I'm determined that when it's his time for college, I'm praying that he'll be a football player that he's always wanted to be. I mean, since he was a little boy, but that he'll get that scholarship. But I want to be able to say, hey, look, I didn't bought this, I did that. And I've bought my children cars. I've done it by the grace of God, no goodness of my own. It's so many people that are positive in my life. My girlfriend Charmel, oh my God, she's like my rock. And I know she's probably like, this chick is crazy, because I be talking some mess. You hear me? But she's the logic and the voice, because she'll be like, you know what? That's not good for you. And he said he do. Oh, I don't see it. And sometimes you need that. You need that. And even in business, she'll be like, well, your business side is going to say, go get that money. No, you're going to write them back and tell them you want to add on, so she's also that voice. And I appreciate her for all of that, because she's so, supportive in everything. She can see where she came up with a cohort for me, and she was like, a good idea would be to blah, blah, blah. And it's awesome. Dr. Lee, he has a business. He does other things. We're very, very close. He's very supportive in everything that I do as well. Education, all of that. He's there. We're real close. But I have some really good people in my life. I keep my circle small. Not that I think I'm better than other people, but I've heard this before, and I'll repeat it. If you want to go somewhere, you have to start surrounding yourself around people that are either like-minded or are on another level. And so I hang around doctors and people, because I aspire to have my doctorate in nursing or psychology one day, and I'm about to graduate this year. Yes, with a master's. But you got to surround yourself around people that are going places, even when you don't feel like you're going anywhere. Learn to think. People, you want money, go around people who have money. Listen to the way that they think. Look at their strategies, how they talk. What do they do with their children? These are things you have to observe. How do they dress? Are they showing up at meetings with everything spilling over and their cup running over? No. How are they acting? But then also look at yourself. Are you a woman of integrity? Are you a woman of character? Are you a woman of your word? Because don't promise me something and don't do it. I won't forget it. And I may not pull your card on it, but these are just things that you need to keep in mind. And always speak to the janitor. The janitor knows who's going to get fired next, the next business deal. Yes, all the ins and outs and in between. I speak to the janitor. I treat the janitors very well. I buy Christmas gifts for my janitors.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right. So as the alien is wrapping up this whole thing, it says, okay, looking back over your experience as a Black woman, tell me something, some love, some type of support that you would have wanted that you think would have changed the trajectory of your experience, to give you one that you would have more preferred. What support could you have gotten?
Family support.
Okay.
Family support. Family support, because I feel like Black families I never had a close family. Like my family was always picking and choosing who was going to be close to who and who could come for the fish dinner. I think family support is everything, because if there's someone in the family that's having an issue, be it a psychiatric breakdown, whatever, then your auntie will help you. I think, and I try to create that culture with my girls and my son. But, I think family support would have been everything. I had no support from my family. None, never. Nobody watched my kids. I had to pay somebody to watch my kids. And when they did, like my mother or somebody did, I still gave them something, even though I barely had to do. I'm just trying to go to school, so I think family support. The church supported me more than my family did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
That is a
And
real
shout
thing.
out
That
one
is
more person, Franny.
okay.
Frances Clark. She is the
Frances
woman
Clark?
Frances Clark. She is the woman who is her and Elder Gordon are the people that the reason that I am the woman I have become today, because they didn't let me be out in the streets. They got together. I had a mouth on me back then. I know I was a card.
I'm sorry. Did you say back then?
A mouth. I got a good mouth these days. I know how to control.
Oh, you okay? Say better mouth. Say better mouth. Don't say good. Okay, better. Yeah, better. But
mouth.
okay.
But I am so grateful to them today, because I could have become, the next prostitute, a crackhead. I could have got caught up in the wrong, hands. And I'm grateful. I mean, Franny was like my mother, but my big sister at the same time. She's like, you're not going out there. You need to go upstairs. I needed that though. I did.
Whew. Time just flying, and I think I think I kept it together most of the show, because I get excited about these topics and stuff like that. But Jennifer, thank you so much for just being here and being willing to share. I know that my goddaughters and the other women and men listening to this, that it was enlightening and gave them some information that's going to help them in their efforts to be more supportive and understanding of Black women. So thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right. Hey, and don't forget, you and I still need to hook up, because we got business stuff to do, right?
Yes, we do. I have an email box full of your stuff.
All right. I just make sure, because my follow-up sucks. So I'm like, I did it, and I get excited when I follow up. I'm like, oh, no, I did it.
It's okay.
All right, love. I look forward to the next time I talk to you on the show, and the next time I talk to you off.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Have a great one.
You too.
How we do this every day? How every day it's an amazing show? Does that mean that I'm amazing? Am I amazing? Yeah, no, that's true. I can see that. I can see that. All right. Well, you all have a wonderful day. Again, thank you so much, Jennifer. And guess what? We will be Black tomorrow. It is about making sure the handouts and the incentives that you're giving for your business, that they make sense as part of a plan. So the issue isn't so much the volume you're doing, is that if the volume you're doing doesn't make sense for your business, then it doesn't matter if you're giving one thing away if it doesn't make sense, or you're giving 100 of them away and it doesn't make sense. It's about, so if you give something away, there should be a return on it, right? Because that's an investment. So you need to start measuring the return on that investment. So if you give like a little distribution sample soap, if you send that out, right? If it costs you X amount to send out that soap, then you should be expecting a Y return. If you're not getting a Y return on it, because that's a marketing expense. Every time you put a post up, every time you open a website, there should be something coming in. Every time you do something out, there should be something coming back in. Every time you advertise out, there should be customers coming back in. Every time you send an incentive out, there should be more sales coming back in. Okay. And so it's okay to give things away, but making sure that you can articulate the value of that investment. The next thing to remind you is that when somebody tells you something or when you need something, make sure you get it in writing. Even if it's an email exchange, all the follow-up questions, get that reduced to writing. Because I don't know about you, but I've had situations where people, well, you have a conversation with someone, and then next thing you know, you all go back to it and you say, well, remember you said that. And it's like, no, I didn't. And it's like, yeah, you did. I was there. And they're like, no, but if it was in writing, you wouldn't have to worry about that. I tell you, when I write contracts for clients, whether they're prenuptial agreements or business contracts or whatever, I always tell them, I say, I hope you feel like you wasted your money. Because if you wasted your money, that means that you got this contract and everything, you never had to pull it out again. Everything went exactly the way you thought it would. That means that's a win. But I don't draft contracts for everything to go well. I draft contracts for things to go horribly